As we continue to look at some of these 2022 Democratic primaries and races for the general election in November, there's a fascinating battle shaping up on Chicago's Southside, Illinois' first congressional district, the home to Barack Obama. This is the seat where Bobby Rush, a veteran Democratic congressman, is retiring. And one of the progressives who is running to replace him is Reverend Dr. Stephany Rose Spaulding. She is a pastor, author, activist, and organizer. And she joins us now. Dr. Spaulding, good of you to be with us. First of all, why are you in the race? What motivated you to do this?
Thank you, David. I am grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to be in this race. I am here because community asked of me to be in this race. My family has lived in this district for multiple generations. It's where I grew up, where I went to school. And so I still have a number of friends and people that I am connected to who have lived here, and they have seen the work that I've been able to do around the country. And they asked me to come home, and not knowing that Bobby Rush would retire. And so now here we are looking at the state and the condition of Black and brown people in the nation. And they are like, Stephany, please come and do this work for Illinois' first congressional district.
People who are outside of Illinois, across the nation, when they hear of Chicago, they think, oh my God, there's so much violence and mayhem on the South Side. And there are all sorts of very complicated issues and reasons why. But where does that rank in terms of your priorities as a political candidate who would be representing Chicago's South Side?
And you're right, the issues here in Chicago are extremely complex. One of the most important issues that we face is a lack of equity. That's the umbrella that is pushing all of these issues, whether it's around violence prevention. We can't do violence prevention if we're not lifting people out of poverty, right? We can't do what is necessary if we aren't doing housing stability and climate stability. So all of those things are complex and intersectional, which is why I am the perfect candidate for this district, having done work to protect voting rights, having done work to make sure that equity is at the heart of all of the things that we are doing. As a scholar of critical race theory, as a pastor who has used that in the streets and with activism, I'm perfect to do this work as it centers on reinvestment in Illinois' first congressional district, which is predominantly a Black district.
What has been the response to your candidacy, and what do you see as being sort of like the crucial, factors or the crucial attributes that will be found in the winner of this Democratic primary?
Absolutely. So people on the ground are excited. I was just out the other day, and a young man that I just met, 31 years old, he was like, first of all, thank you. Thank you for physically showing up and being here and doing your own canvassing. Because I have worked, he was saying that he worked with other candidates, a county commissioner, and no one knew who they were. So that is going to be a factor in this race. A person that is not just of the community, but who is in the community, having conversations with people on the ground, but then also understands the large, complex, not just theoretical issues that our constituents are facing, but the problems that we are living with every single day are experiential issues, and how to structurally dismantle what inequity has built. How to come back to the table and do this work from a lens that is, again, a lived experience.
You mentioned inequity, and I know you're very strong on criminal justice reform, two important issues. A lot of Democrats also would want to know, where are you on issues like Medicare for all and the Green New Deal?
I am an absolute supporter of Medicare for all. If you just look at the last 2 years and the impact of COVID-19, Black and brown communities have died at alarming rates. Why? Because we're underinsured, we don't trust the healthcare system, and we are literally outside of formal traditional healthcare practices. So I'm absolutely in support of Medicare for all. I'm absolutely in support of a Green New Deal on both the local as well as the federal level, and making sure that communities are not living in environmental racism. I grew up literally down the street from the city dump, as well as the Sherwin-Williams paint factory. So think about all of the toxins that went into my body because of what I was breathing in the air, what our water structure had been infiltrated by. And so yes, I'm an absolute supporter of both of those.
Your district includes some of the most impoverished areas of Illinois. Is it tougher to be a progressive in a place like that?
No, I think this is the district that needs us the most. Someone that is willing to look at what is happening and to not run from people, but to be shoulder to shoulder, working with activists on the ground, working with grassroots NGOs, working with, again, people who are living this every day. My family members are living this. We talk about criminal justice reform. My family is living this. Housing stability, my family is living this right now. So no, this is exactly where we need progressives to be.
You ran for a public office for Congress, I believe, in Colorado years ago when you lived there. What lessons did you learn from that race?
I learned that white supremacy is never gonna run me off the street, and that any issue that is worth obtaining, anything that you want to have is worth fighting for. And so that's where I am. This is the work that I'm committed to. And my community saw what I was able to do there and asked me to come back.
And you faced white supremacy and racism in Colorado while you were there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will face it head on even still.
What would you say to Bobby Rush, the outgoing Democratic congressman who hasn't endorsed anybody yet? He may. There are a lot of Democrats in the field. What would you say to him if you were talking to him right now about, hey, Congressman Rush, you need to give me the endorsement, and here's why?
I would say thank you for your service. We appreciate what you have done. It is time to reinvest in Illinois' 1st congressional district, and Dr. Stephany Rose Spaulding is the candidate to move our district forward, to build on legacy, but take us to the next level.
And what would you say if you had an opportunity to talk to President Biden and you had his ear in terms of priorities for your district?
President Biden, it's time to see what can happen when America actually invests in the most disenfranchised in this country. We are ready to move this nation forward.
What is it about Chicago's 1st district, other than being the home of Barack Obama, as we said at the top? Is there something unique that people who are outside of Illinois, outside of Chicago, may not appreciate, may not realize, both in terms of the politics and also in terms of the life in Chicago's 1st congressional district?
So yes, if you don't live here in Illinois, or even if you are, you might not know the rich history and the culture that is steeped in this district. One, we have one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad that is literally right here in Illinois' 1st. The Cal-Sag Harbor was one of the last stops in the Underground Railroad. We also know that this was one of the first districts that was majority Black in the country to be able to elect representatives at a time where African Americans weren't being elected to Congress. So it's historic in that sense. And then it is also the space that we get so much political activism that has shaped the country, the kind of work, the organizing that has come out of Chicago's Southside has literally shaped the country and politics, grassroots politics across the nation. So I am excited. The people of this district deserve someone who not only knows this history, who honors the culture that is here, but is ready again to take our communities forward into the 21st century.
The primary is in Illinois, June the 28th. Take us through the next couple of months, and what are the sort of the keys in your estimation in terms of running a successful campaign?
There's no way that this district is going to be won without a ground game. So in order to win Illinois' 1st, one has to be in relationship with the people who live here. So if one is not knocking on doors, not in conversation, not in community, they may as well keep stepping.
And what do you make of some of your opponents in the Democratic primary?
Again, I don't necessarily know why their reasons for being in this race, but I do know that my community asked me to come home and they asked me to do this work. And so I am here for them. I know the kind of campaign that we are running. We are not tied to anybody's money. We are not tied to anybody else's agenda outside of the constituents of Illinois' 1st.
I was just talking with a friend of mine who was actually thinking about running for Congress out in California. And I was sort of joking with him saying, why would you want to do this when you're looking at Republicans likely taking over control of the US House? It's no fun to be in the minority. And he just sort of laughed. Are you optimistic though about Democrats? I mean, because the political winds seem pretty tough right now for Democrats.
I am optimistic about the people of this district, and I am optimistic about Black and brown voters across the nation. When I was out here organizing with Just Democracy, organizing with the King's family, there are people in Nevada, in Georgia, in Florida, in DC, who know what is at stake in this election cycle. And so I am optimistic about these individuals who are not willing to give up this democracy.
There's several civil rights organizations who have declared that they don't think Joe Biden has done enough to get the voting rights legislation passed in the House and the Senate, that there's more that he could have done, more that he should have done in terms of pressuring wavering Democrats. Where do you come down on this?
The voting rights legislation hasn't been passed. That's fact. There's no way to come down. That is absolute fact. It has not been passed, and Black and brown voters deserve better.
And how do you see, I mean, if the voting rights legislation does not get through the Congress, what then?
Then we continue to organize, we continue to activate, then we will show up as candidates and we will take over Congress.
Dr. Stephany Rose Spaulding, she's also a pastor, author, activist, and organizer. Reverend Dr. Spaulding, thanks so much for doing this. Good luck to you. This is going to be a fascinating race to watch. I think anybody who gets into a race shows a certain amount of courage, and you're working for the greater good, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So for people who are supporting you, for your family, for your church, congratulations to them as well for lifting you up and helping you through this.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.